Well, hello, and welcome back to City Skylines with Splat. In today's episode, we are going to take a little break from building up our population because now we're up to 75,000 people, and it is time for us to start working on expanding our city into new directions. So as our little bus is traveling through this neighborhood here, you can see that we have built up quite a unique area inside our Three Rivers area, but we have used up pretty much all of the available space that we have for building anything inside our city limits, and it's time to buy some new squares. So if we hop out of this view, I can pull out to check out what we've got going on here. So originally our city was built between these three rivers here, and we have done so to a pretty good extent. And we only have a little bit of space left. We got a little bit of space over here to the left that we could build on across the river. We got a little space next to the airport, but I want to save those for something that we're going to be doing a little bit later. And it's time for us to start pushing out towards the ocean over there. And I have bought some land already. This square here, this square here, this square here. And I've got this entire little area here bought out because it is time to start pushing out towards the ocean. So over here, we have this big flat area that the map creator, I think, originally intended to be kind of a Manhattan Island build with a central park in the middle and this just big flat area on an island. I don't know if we're going to do that. We'll have to wait and see. We have this area over here, which the tan area on this particular map style is the resource of ore. But we don't necessarily need any more ore, so we might be changing that. But there also is some oil over here, which is this off-colored stuff here on this island. So this island over here might become kind of an industrial center. And that's going to make a little bit of sense when I point out what it is that we're actually going to be doing. What we're going to focus on today in our episode is this area right here, this artificially produced harbor that the map maker has put in. I did go ahead and adjust just a little bit with the terrain tools to make it a little bit more usable. But I think this right here is what we're going to focus on, and we are going to work on putting in a harbor with some cargo, with some pleasure yachts, and with some tourism in order to provide service to the people of our city. We have a train line here that we're going to bring down a little bit about. I have installed some off-ramp roundabouts here so people can get on and off the highway and come into our area. So let's talk a little bit about what is going to happen. This long, skinny part here on the left side of the harbor is going to get turned into industrial space. This is where we're going to be putting our cargo harbors so that we can bring a train line down and we can export and import things that we need. This area over here on the right towards the front is going to hold our cruise lines that come in and out with the transport ships that bring in tourists from outside of the city and bring them in, and it's going to connect directly to the highway, and we're also going to have some public transportation that comes down here. This large square here in the middle is going to be dedicated towards some assets that I picked up that allow me to put in some marinas and things that are meant for the population to use and are just a really attractive part of the city. They're basically reskinned fishing industry assets, but they look really cool, and I think they're going to be really nice to add in here. I'm also going to put our ferry assets in here so that as our city expands, we can start running ferry lines up and down the rivers to transport people around. And then out here on the front, facing the outlet into the ocean, we're going to be dedicating this space to building in some of our fishing industry. So our area is going to have a rail connection for cargo. It's going to have passenger connections for rail. It's going to have public transit in this form of ferries. And I'm going to bring the subway down here, possibly above ground as a light rail connection. And we're going to have bus lines that come down here as well. So we should be good to go. This is going to be a collection of harbor assets today, and then eventually we're going to be filling in the area around it with some residential and commercial and things like that. But for this video, we're going to focus on the harbor. So let's get cracking and get into it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to surround this whole area with quay walls because that makes it a little bit easier to work with. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go to my landscaping tools, I'm going to go to the water, and I've got some different quay walls in here. I've got the stone quay that's fenced. I've got these gravel river quay walk ones. I've got some different ones, but I think I'm going to go with some of the content creator stuff that I downloaded a while back. And I'm just going to go with a simple seawall, because this is going to be industrial in nature. And I'm just going to start installing it here along this area, all through here, all the way around. So let's get that done and come back and see what we've got. Okay, so we got our seawall all put in just to kind of even things out and make it easier to build. And I've got the game running on full speed right now because I just need the water to settle down and do all the flooding and get that all out of the way so we can continue to build. And the first thing that we're going to do, though, is once this flooding has kind of settled down a little bit, is I want to look at this little spur right here. This little spur is going to contain our cargo hub. So if we go in here and we look at our ship options that we have here, I have a cargo hub that has a train track attached to it. And we are going to be putting that, we're going to be putting two of those here. We're going to be putting one right here, and then we're going to be putting one opposite across from it. And then we're going to be bringing those train tracks down, and they're going to be connecting up there. So to do that, let me get started here. I want to make sure that I put them in a place where I have enough space to connect roads up and do some warehouses and things. So I'm actually going to bring them a little bit up from the end of the pier. I'm going to put one right there, and I'm going to put one right. These are actually lined up. I can always use the move it mod later, but let's see if we can save ourselves a little bit of trouble. I'm going to drop one right there. All right. Now, when those got put in, because I put in these quay walls, they're a little bit too high. So we're just going to grab the move it mod, and we're going to squeeze these puppies down, which is probably going to cause all kinds of flooding and things. I should turn off the speed, game speed, so that it doesn't mess everything up. We're going to do that. And then we're going to come over here and grab this one, and we're going to move this one down just a little bit so that it balances out. So, and it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, I'm going to pause the game so we don't get a bunch of water issues. All right, so now we have these two roads, and we have these train tracks coming off. So we're going to have to bring the rail up, and we're going to have to bring the roads up. And my idea is to bring elevated train tracks right down the middle of this spur, and just run it straight up here and connect it into here. And all of the train tracks in this area are going to be elevated with all the roads going underneath them. And I also want to have a walkway, bicycle/walking path that allows people to come in here and go to work. Because if we don't, with all of the trucks and traffic that's going to be developing here, I want to try to limit the amount of vehicles that are not industrial coming through here, because it's going to be a traffic nightmare. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here to my tools, and I'm going to go over here to all my paths are, and I've downloaded this little asset a long time ago. It's pedestrians and bicycle paths, and I'm going to just run this thing right here, back on, right here in the middle, and I'm just going to bring it out in a nice straight line all the way out to here. I'll use that. Oh, that's what? That's a little unexpected. Can I upgrade this? Does that fix it? What about if I do this? Okay, I don't know why, but I can use elevated pieces. Sure. That's fine. I'm not sure why that has to happen. Maybe there's something about the quay walls and things that I put in that messed up the terrain. Not an issue. We can deal with that. Okay, so those are put in the middle. Let's grab some roads here. And let's just finish this off here by connecting those together. And I'm actually gonna, we'll bring more of those in later. I'm going to, I think, bring these together. No, I'm not gonna bring those together because I think what I wanna do here is I'm going to use, yeah, we're going to actually change this road into a one-way road and turn this into one big giant roundabout. So vehicles are going to be able to come in from one way. They're going to have to go around and then leave the other way. And that's going to help with the traffic. Let's take a look at what kind of one-way stuff we've got to use here. And we're going to do this 2-lane one-way road, and we're going to upgrade that right there, and it's going to go around. Yep, perfect. And then I want to upgrade this. So this is actually part of this asset, but fear not, I have a tool that we can use to do that. We have the upgrade untouchable mod. And so I come in here, I pick this road because that's the one I want. I say currently upgrading to 2-lane one-way road. I want to force that to follow the terrain. I'm going to come in here, I'm just going to click and click and click again and click again. And I think those are going the correct way. If I go ahead and click on that, now that I can look at it, see, I have upgraded that road into these one-way roads. Perfection personified right there. Thank you, Upgrade Untouchable mod. You are a treat. So now all I have to do is take this little sucker here, and we're going to bring this out this way as well in a nice straight line. We'll deal with where that's actually going later, but I just want to get these things set up that way for now so that they'll come in off the highway. There'll be a road that comes down here, and then eventually they'll be able to turn left and come in this way, or they can turn and go back. And it's going to be like a big roundabout just for servicing this area. And we're going to fill up the middle here with some warehouses and things that they can also use. Okay, so what are we going to do with the train tracks? I'm glad you asked. Let's take a look and see what we have option-wise for our train tracks. So I come in here to trains. I'm going to grab my track. We might use some of these fancy train tracks that I've downloaded, but for now, we're not going to. I think for this, all I'm going to do, I'm going to set this to Causeway. I'm going to bring it out, not too far. Let's say 1225, that's a good start. And we'll bring this one out, 1225. Okay, this is gonna be weird building, but we have the Move It mod. We can repair all these problems. Okay, and then what I'm thinking is the train tracks are gonna go on top of this walkway down the middle. And I'm gonna bring both of these in to connect to that walkway. And let's see what that looks like. So we'll use the old page uparoo. I don't know how high we need to be. We can fix that later. And starting here, I'm just gonna run this thing down like that. And let's look and see if that worked. I mean, we have anti-grav railway technology. I don't see a problem with this. I wonder if it's because I have this as a raised piece. Like, if I switch this back to like force it to be on the ground, does it still, it disappears. That still doesn't fix it. So there's no reason to do that. All right, well, I still like this idea. I don't know why all of the braces here are missing, but we have the Move It mod, so I can come in here and just cheat a little bit and just start plunking these things in. How does that look? You know what? I think that's going to work immensely well. And I'm going to wait until I have my train tracks exactly where I want them before I start manually going in and plunking in braces to match everything. So let's just go ahead and get all the rest of the tracks put in, and then I'll deal with all of that stuff later. So back to our tracks. We're going to grab this puppy right here, and I'm just going to come up and attach it in there. And we're going to grab this track and do the same thing there. And we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to use some tools to even this out and make the slope look correctly. So we come up here to our network multi-tool. We have the sloping button in here. We're going to grab slopey slopey. We're going to go here. I'm going to say I want you. I want you. Enter. There we go. It's a 5% grade. Not perfect, but it's a video game, guys. We'll deal with it. There we go. So I'm gonna have to manually come in and plunk in some supports because that looks a little weird, but it is doable. We're gonna grab the Move It mod. We're gonna straighten some of this stuff out a little bit so it doesn't look quite so bizarre. And then we're gonna have to do our thing again to yeah. Oh, City Skylines. Go home, you're drunk. That'll work. But yeah. I think that's gonna work. So the trains will be able to come in. Set these all to slope so they actually work and look good. Don't know what's going on here. We'll call that a bend. That's set to slope. We'll set that one to slope. That's set to slope yet. Okay. Do we have any more? Can we come in here and that's the quay. Aha. Okay. Did I get this all set to slope so now it looks a little better? It does. It looks a lot better. Good. Good. I'm happy with that. Okay. I will come in a little bit later and put in some supports just to make this look a little bit more realistic. All right, so my trains are gonna come in and out like that. They're gonna come down here and we are gonna connect it over there. So let's do that. We're gonna grab this guy. We're gonna come straight up here, probably to right about there. And then we just gotta do this. And we're gonna look at this. Yeah, that didn't work. Not a problem. Bendy, bendy. Scoochy, scoochy. Scoochy. For all your City Skylines fashion needs. You are not truly City Skylines player unless you are wearing Scoochy. Train tracks are in. Trains can come and go. Perfect. Okay, so now that we got this area put together, we got our train tracks put in, we're gonna bring this walking path down. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of time to do some detailing. I'm gonna put some warehouses in here, drop some concrete in, make this look a little bit more, just a little more stylized and a little bit nicer to look at. So I think the best way to do that is just gonna be through a quick little time lapse. So here we go, let's do it. All right, so it looks like we've got our cargo harbor area put in and all detailed. I've got some assets that I picked up that I had dropped in. And one of the assets that I think is really cool is this little guy right here, this animated forklift. This is just the funniest thing. I love this. There's like a external animation mod or something like that by a guy named Bofamer, which allows you to grab these animated assets that people have made and put into your city. And I found this animated forklift, and I think this is just the coolest little thing. It's going to add a lot of life to this area here. So we've got our 2 cargo hubs put in with our train tracks coming out so trains can get in and out. We have some warehouses that are taking things like ore and forestry goods and commercial goods and all kinds of things. We've got lots of warehouses here that we can use. I put in the walking path that goes all the way up to where the train station is going to be. It allows people to walk in, and then it cuts off to the left and right and connects to the sidewalks that are attached to these roads so people can get to work by walking if they would like to use public transit. I'm thinking about putting one more little thing here. Perhaps we could do that. Let me see what I've got. I wonder if I got another one of those little gas station things that I could put in just to look like a fueling stop or just a covered area where they could keep crates and stuff. So let me see if I look up shop. I have another one of those shops in my here, or do I need to look up for something else? Was it under store or shop? Maybe it was store? What are these called? Kiwi store. Station, maybe? There we go. Gas stations. Here, let's just put in a couple more covered. I mean, technically these are supposed to be gas stations, but I think they just look really cool because they give kind of a covered awning in my mind where you could like keep crates and stuff, or they could just be an asset where, you know, they're using it to refill the trucks and things that come through. But I think it kind of adds a little bit to the look. So there we go. So our cargo area is all decorated and put in. Time to move on to our next task. All right, the next thing that we're gonna do is this area right here. And this is where we're going to be getting these guys to come in, right here. The harbor, where tourists can come in and out of our city. And our tourists are going to come in and they're going to land right here. And they're gonna pause the game so we don't get any flooding. And so we're gonna build this area up as a little bit of a touristy area, which means that some of the things that we're gonna do outside of this harbor are going to be tourism commercial designs. So we've got, here we go. So we put in this is where tourists are going to come in and out. And there is a neat little asset that I picked up right here. These things are called modular pier warehouses. And the way these work is you can put these things up against a road, and as you build on them and stack them up, they build these piers that go out, but they're meant to go out over the water. As you can see here, you've got this little wooden walkway that goes around, and when you put that over the water, it looks like a dock. And so if you want to build these things in the water, the way I understand this is that you actually have to come with your terrain brush and you actually have to grab some terrain and pull out terrain and then actually put a road on here and then grab this thing and they go out like this. And then you go back to your brush tool, go back to the train, and you push Control Z to undo the changes you made, and that's supposed to leave these buildings. And I have been playing with this a lot, and as you can see, it doesn't always work exactly the way it's supposed to. I'm not really sure what's going on here. So what I'm gonna do is cheat. I have another mod called Move It that allows me to just do what I need to do here without messing with all that other stuff. So I'm just gonna put this guy on the end of the road here. I'm gonna grab one of these, we're gonna stack it on the end, and we're gonna take that and we're gonna put it on the end like that. And I'm gonna grab the Move It mod, and I'm gonna go click, shift, 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 click. And we're just gonna come out here turn ourselves around, do the hokey pokey, because that's what it's all about. Something like that. And then we're just gonna come on up here to this seawall, and then we're gonna just use page up. And like the Nautilus, it shall rise from the sea to amaze all who stand before it. And we just gotta make sure that we get this lined up with the seawall. Because it doesn't have to be functional. I don't really care about that. I just want it to look cool. You know, it's like playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? It's the rule of cool. If it's cool, I'll allow it. Every good dungeon master should be that way. If it's cool, I'll allow it. All right, and so now we have these docks that stick out, and we can even fix this problem here. Don't know why that doesn't line up, but we're gonna page up, page down, move it, mod it, scoochy scoochie, and see if we can't get that to sync up a little better. I don't want it to sync, I want it to look good. Okay, bad joke. All right, moving on. That'll work. So now we got these things sticking out in the water. I don't know that I necessarily want that sticking out right there because the boats have to come in and out, so you might have to move some things around, but let me play with this a little while and see if I can get something that I like. So I will be right back. Okay, so what I've done here is I've gone ahead and put in my little harbor for people to come in. I've got my little pier sticking out, which is kind of cool. Looks like a little fish market. I put in some little observation platforms down here so people can see the boats coming in and out. And I've got our ferry depot up here. But what I've gone ahead and did is just around this water area is I went ahead and zoned this for light commercial, but I put a district in and I made this a tourism district. So the kind of stuff that's going to grow here is going to fit in really well around this type of thing. And I'm going to wait until the area builds up a little bit just to see what kind of buildings pop in here, and then I'll come in and do a little more detailing later once I get an idea of what this area is going to look like. So we're going to let this fill in and see what happens next. Our next course of action is going to be right here, where we're going to be putting in our fishing industry. So if we go down here to the industry tab and we click on fishing, you will see that we have a fishing harbor, we have a fishing farm, we have fish markets, we have fish factories, and we have the fishing routes. And we don't have anything else quite yet because we haven't started doing any fishing yet. So we haven't unlocked those things yet. So let's go ahead and put some things in. Let's take a look at what we got here. If we click on our fish button, everything that we have is deep water because of the way this map is put together. So in this area, we're going to be looking for shellfish. Not that it really matters, but if we want to get any other kind of fish like anchovies or salmon or tuna, we're going to have to look somewhere else. But here, we're going to do some fishing. So let's turn this off. Let's just start dropping these puppies in. So they just go right here on the shoreline. And I think I'm going to put more than one. I'm going to line this up with that road there. And we're going to go like this. And we're going to drop this down so it actually lines up with the terrain. I had to do some really strange things with the terrain tool to get all of this to work. So everything that I'm putting in is behaving a little bit oddly, but I think in the end it's going to be okay. And then I think I want to put another one for now here. I'm going to put another one there. We're going to do 3 for now. I'm going to put some roads in to connect those. These are just going to be regular old boring roads, nothing special, no parking, I think. So those are all hooked up. And I think what I want to put in between these are more of these little pier jobbers. So let's grab a road and drop a road in. Go back to our boats. I grab one of these and we're gonna do different size ones. Now this is cool. These things are modular, so if you click on them, you can actually change what kind of roof they have too. So I could go for like a light roof, which would be kind of a neat thing to do. Drag this over here. Dive, 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 aruga, aruga, aruga. Don't worry, we'll get you up. Up you come. That is a cool prop. I really like the way that's modular, like you can work with that. And now we have 2 different sized little things sticking out. Just add some feeling and texture to this. And then we're gonna have to build some roads over here for the market, which is gonna tie into the commercial area. and some warehouses to store the fish. Though there is a fish warehouse over here, but that's not gonna fit. All right, so now we have to come back into our industry and we have to do the boat route, the fish routes. So if you've never done this before, the way these work is you just draw these like roads, and the boats will go out and the boats will come back in. But the boats require a certain amount of time over the water to fill their boat up with fish. And so as they go down this track, if you click on the boat and watch it, you'll see that the fullness meter starts to go up from 0% to 100%. And you want to set these little pathways up so that the boat is extremely efficient, so that right when it gets to the end of the route and gets back to the pier, it hits 100%. So you're not wasting time out on the water, or you're not coming back with a hull not quite full of fish. So I'm just gonna draw these out to begin with because I have no idea how long these are gonna be. And we're just gonna have to run the game a little bit to see what those pull out, and they won't do anything until I put water and power in here anyway. So we're gonna have to deal with that once we get the rest of this put in. So let's see what we wanna do about getting the rest of the fishing industry put. It was warehouses, a fish factory, that sort of thing. I think the market should just go right in this little spot right here. Okay, we got the fish market where people can go buy their fish, and we have all of this over here. This is going to be tourism stuff. That is going to look magnificent. So now that we have our fishing industry put in, for now, it's going to grow. We're going to make it bigger. The fishing industry, we're going to get some more stuff added up here, but that's next. We have our tourist area coming in here. We have our ferry, what's this thing called? The ferry depot, in case we ever want to run ferries. And we have cargo. Now we're going to do our fancy schmancy yacht clubs right here. So those, if I look under industry, I have a medium marina, a small marina, and a yacht club, because these are just reskinned fishing harbors. So these things are actually going to help us build up our fishing industry while looking cool at the same time. I was playing with these earlier, and there is one thing I noticed. They do not play well with key walls. I don't know why, but for some reason, put them on a key wall area like that, it just all goes horribly wrong and doesn't work. So we're just gonna try to flatten out the land here and just do this the old-fashioned way. So let's go to our industry and let's look at this yacht club first, because this is going to be the centerpiece to our area. That's just going to go right there in the middle. And that is what that looks like. And you can see why it doesn't get along with the key walls area, because it pulls out this land. And when I try to move it back, everything just goes bonkers out of control as far as the terrain is concerned, and it's just impossible. So that's what we're gonna do for that. Let's grab another one. Let's see what a medium one looks like. Let's drop a medium one in next to it. Nice. Let's put one in on this side. And the small ones look just like the ones that come bog standard with the Arc DLC. So I'm not sure if I even want to mess with that, because that's just, see, it doesn't connect to the land. That's just going to be too much of a mess. Okay, so now we need to bring this in, connect those together. That is not going to connect to that because that is going to be pure industry, but it is going to connect this roundabout eventually. I have to figure out how I want to tie all this in together to the road network. So let me have a think about that, and I'll come back and show you what I come up with. Okay, so this is how we're going to connect in initially. I've just pulled off 2 roads from those roundabouts. I put in a couple of more roundabouts because there's going to be more stuff built around here. And this is how people are going to be able to get into the harbor area. So now we need to put in our train station here so that people can get to work and we can connect to the train stations over here in the other 2 parts of our city. If I go over here to the content creator pack that I've picked up, they've had some really cool elevated train tracks. I love this dual island one with the little round half circle. Let's drop that in so you can see it. Because this little half circle parking lot, I think this is just an incredibly cool looking train station, and I want to put this one in. I like that it's dual state. It's got 4 tracks as well, because we can kind of use this as an express. If I just set up the passenger trains to use the two outside sections, all of the industrial trains will just go, cargo trains will just go right through the middle, and we don't have to worry about traffic holding things up. And that is going to go right in here. So to do that, we're going to build a little piece of road, and I'll upgrade this road later to something else. And then I'm just going to grab this guy, snap him on here. And then we're gonna grab our Move It mod, get this put in so that it lines up kind of evenly. Nice, okay. And so we have those where we want them. And I think it's pretty well, I don't need to rotate it at all. So let's go ahead and get some train tracks now. Connect this together. And we're on that, yeah, like that. And like that. That's gonna work really, really well. So now we gotta tie these in. What's going on over there. So this guy's just going to come up here. He's just going to come over. I don't want them going in front of there, so they're actually going to come this way, back in there. So as they come in, they're going to be able to turn left and go down. You know what? I want that going the other way because I don't want them to turn. I want them to go straight. Aha! I'm figuring this out. It's better if they go this way, because now when they come out, they can just turn right. And we'll set this so that they cannot turn left again. You guys just go right. Okay, so now that walking path, biking path, just needs to hook up right there. Gonna come off of here. There. And Bob's your uncle. All right, so now let's get our train lines all set up. I want one that goes from here. There we go. I want one that goes from here all the way over to this station. We'll let it stop there. And then it's going to go all the way back. And then I want another one on the outside that goes from there all the way up to this one in our little suburban area. Add a stop there, and we're gonna come all the way back. Just like that. And as they like to say, voila, that is done. And I'll come back here and detail this later as well. But again, that is not necessarily what I'm doing right now. Okay, water, power, a few more roads, a little more zoning, and we will come back and see how this thing is getting on. We now have some residential put in to give some population to this area to help all the commercial and industry. I went ahead and went with this set of assets I found that were actually meant to be like a Swedish and Norwegian style area. And the reason I chose these is, well, a few of these are kind of weird, like the grass-covered hut things. I might get rid of that theme. But most of them reminded me of kind of a little fishing village. And so I thought that these fit in really well with the area that we were building. I put them on both sides of this main road. We got some parks and things put in. And so we're starting to get some population to move into the area. However, as population moves in and as the industry has picked up, we have developed a little bit of a problem. If you cycle on down here, yeah, see that? Train gridlock as far as the eye can see. Something has broken horribly wrong with our train system, And I am going to have to spend some time looking at that, trying to figure out what's going on. It doesn't seem to be affecting this rail over here as much. These trains are all still going, but apparently in here, this has managed to get itself all stuck up trying to transport these goods back and forth. So I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do to try to fix this problem. I'm really going to have a sit down and think about what I've got going here and figure out how I want to sort this out, because it's killing my economy and it's also killing my mass transit because people can't get down here to get to work and things like that. I am happy with what we've put in so far. I really like the detailing we did on this harbor area. I like how the little tourist area popped in over here with the piers that stick out and all of the little tourist buildings that built up around. I like the fact that our boats seem to be morphing into each other and just taking up space, creating rifts in dimensional time that Time Lords can travel through and solve all of the world's problems with sonic screwdrivers, because it's all wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. I really like our fishing piers that we have here, and apart from the fact that our train traffic has ground to a complete and total halt and it's failed epically, I think this is a good start to a new section of our city. I think for the next episode, we're going to be working on trains a little bit, and I'm going to look at possibly putting in some barges to maybe reduce the amount of train traffic I need. That might do it for me. But that's going to be all we have time for today. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up and a like so I know that you enjoy the content and I know what to make more of. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you later.